It's going to be a long week. Got to get it out of my system. I cover boxing. I do all my videos live and uncut, and sometimes when I hit the record button, I don't even know what I'm going to talk about. So I just start running my mouth about things and information I've gathered throughout the week, throughout the hours, throughout the days. Come up here and start running my mouth. I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live, and I'm going to talk about some boxing. I'm going to talk about an epidemic. I'm going to talk about a situation where you have to look at what you see and decide for yourself if just one person, if this one man, Mr. Haymon, is good for boxing. That's it. So you gotta ask yourself. Now me, luckily, I'm the type of guy where I have no restrictions to what I can say. I go very mild on here sometimes. There's information I know that's factual, but I say, you know what? I'm gonna stay away from that. But what I do is, when it comes to the complex situations in boxing, when it comes to the politics and why this fight can't happen because of this and that and this and that, I'm your guy. So I take all that voluminous information and compile it all into one compacted TstreeT Controversy, TstreeT Controversy Live. So it's frustrating because there's like, this is a video where I can really run my mouth for about an hour, or it's frustrating because there's so many different parts, from the networks, the fighters, the egos, the promoters, the managers. It's just the money. So we have to talk about the most important issue in boxing today, November the 7th, 2014. November the 8th, 2014. December the 8th, 2014. It is the state of which boxers are not fighting the best. The best are not fighting the best. You have a fighter, and I'm just using this one situation, in Peter Quillen, the WBO, former WBO 160-pound champion, walking away from $1.4+ million and dropping his title. Fighters' dreams are to be a champion. An NBA player, you won't see him say like, nah, you know what, I don't want to be champion no more. You're not gonna, no, listen, it's you drop a title. And with all the other situations going on with the massive amount of purse bids and purse bid rescheduling, you have to ask yourself, is it ego? What is it? What is it that two networks, or not even networks, two promoters, whatever they are, Haymon, Bob Arum, they're number one and number two in the business, right? Now, you can say Golden Boy, but Golden Boy and Haymon been working together for all these years. You might as well say they're the same. Even though Haymon is basically right now on outskirts. So let me lay out the landscape. You got HBO. You got Gennady Golovkin. Right now, you have to assume that Chavez Jr. owes Bob Arum and HBO that final fight. So you got Gennady Golovkin. You got Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., Manny Pacquiao, Timothy Bradley, Juan Manuel Marquez, Brandon Rios, Chris Algieri, Ruslan Provodnikov, Nito Donaire, Vasil Lomachenko. I'm trying to think, Zal Shamin, but we're not going to talk about him, where he at. I'm just coming up with some names. Oh, now Canelo. So you can understand what I'm saying is that you got all these guys now that can be involved in the super fights with Floyd Money Mayweather, Marcos Maidana, Robin Guerrero, Keith Thurman, Iris Landilar, Adrian Broner, Danny Garcia, Lamont Peterson, Austin Trout, no doubt Fish Trout, Chris Arreola, Deontay Wilder. Who else? I'm missing it's a lot of names. And when you see that, you see, well, wait a minute. A person like me, with what I do on YouTube, you stopping me from eating. Because I can't cover those fights because you won't make them. So therefore, I look at it like as this, a lose-lose situation, which is why sometimes I have to be patient. I have to say, well, he's got to have all these fighters for a reason. And all his fighters is taking so much shit in the media. Where you got Danny Garcia, like, reputation is there by threads. He needs to fight some major fights in 2015 because his reputation is hanging there by threads for Rod Sulkin. You know, and then they had the nerve, hey man, you snoring, wake up. Then he had the nerve to put Lamont Peterson, another champion, on the same card. So it's just stuff like that, you know, when you got Adrian Broner and Lucas Matisse fighting on the same card. And it's like, well, wait a minute. It's like, I understand the money aspect. But now you have the fans being brainwashed as far as, well, this is what boxing is. We can't continue to allow boxing to go along this path towards a fighter's not going to fight another fighter because, you know, it just don't make no sense. It's like, no, he got a belt. What you mean it don't make no sense? You know, Bernard Hopkins said it recently before Sergey Kovalev. You know how hard it is to unify and be not just be an undisputed, which is the top, but to be a unified champion because of all the different politics now involved. You know, Floyd, that WBO 147-pound title is the only 147-pound title that top-ranked fighters or HBO fighters in general can fight for. Because Mayweather has a WBA, WBC, you know, and then you got Kell Brook, he's got the IBF. Okay, you know, he was in there. But then Sean Porter had it before. Sean Porter's an Al Haymon fighter. So it's tough for me to go, well, I'm going to go to the next part of this to say it's tough for me not to think that the people way up at the top, the people that run all of it, the networks, don't see what's going on. And like, yo, you know, like I'm sure they're seeing numbers and thinking like, yo, why are our ratings all fucked up? Or, you know, why are we not gaining as many subscribers as we were last year? And, you know, we got all these fighters. You think they care about those politics? You think they even know about the politics? You think they even know about the politics? You know, you think they may know of it, but they don't give a shit. They're looking at the money like, yeah, we got that $1 billion fight right there. But you know who? And I haven't said their names for a reason. You know, you got that $1 billion fight right there. You know? Okay, Mayweather Pacquiao. All right, Mayweather versus Pacquiao. But you got, and you think they want to hear that, well, you know, nah, I don't want to take that 100 million. No, I'm not taking nothing until he decides to give me more than 100 million, or they decide to make it so I get more than 100 million. None of this makes any sense. So once again, what I'm getting to is when you hear stuff like Les Moonves coming down from CBS, you know, the guy all the way at the top, all the way at the top, you know, the top of the food chain. When you got HBO Bob Arum, right, going to this guy, and you have to assume that Bob Arum is the ambassador for HBO as far as Bob Arum has vast connections. Sometimes people forget that Bob has been in the business for like 50, 60 years. You know, like he's been involved with Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, all those guys. Sometimes people forget that, like the experience and not even the experience, but the connections is what I look at. And sometimes I think to myself, is this the business side promoter in me talking, or is this the fan? Because sometimes I get confused. Because I think to myself, like, if you got, let's say HBO, you know, those guys, Peter Nelson and forgot Ken Hirschman, I think his name is. Let's say those guys who run HBO Sports. And, you know, whoever's running HBO, I should know that. And I forgot who it is. Long story short, let's say they said, all right, Bob, go over there and talk to them, see if we can get them, you know, like work on that side to try to be a buffer to get this shit done. But yet, it just seems as though it's hard for others to believe. I can believe it because I have to look at, well, if it is true, which a lot of fans already kind of knew, that if if Showtime lost money for Mayweather versus Maidana, you know, 1 and 2. Now, they may have made more, put it this way, I think it's a combined number. I think they lost more money with the first fight than they did with the second one, because the first fight, it came out of nowhere. We had like something like 8 weeks, 9 weeks advance, not even that much before we found out the fight was happening, you know, so the promotion was bad, whatever the case may be. But if it's true that they lost $16 million, you got to think, you know, Mayweather's guaranteed that $32 million automatically. If you noticed, he has not been talking about any pay-per-view buys. And Mayweather, he was talking about it before Maidana won. You know why? Because I cover all that shit. He was supposed to make, he put out something on Instagram. You got to go all the way back to about 6 months ago. He put something out on Instagram saying basically that he was going to make about $70 million from Maidana, 32 million plus. You know, for some reason they thought him fighting Maidana was going to do like 1.5 or something like that. When it did, ballpark figure 800 to 925. I think that was 925,000 pay-per-views. So that's just the figure. I'm not getting to exact figures because it doesn't matter. So you have to ask yourself, like, well, like these networks are not in the business to lose money. You know, if they sign Mayweather for this 220, 230 guaranteed, you know, like whatever that is, you know, contract, then they should expect to see what? Maybe $500 million? Maybe you know, like not just $500 million, but those consistent subscribers right there, you know, that just keep flowing in because he's fighting for them. None of it just doesn't make any sense, because then I also have to think of the fact that, well, listen, you got Al Haymon, who has all these fighters, the manager. These fighters are not signed to promotional companies. You have Floyd Mayweather and Amir Khan, and I think maybe Dana Garcia, I don't know, who's exclusive to Showtime. But what I'm saying is you got Al Haymon, who has all these fighters, that it is now common knowledge that he's working on doing something with NBC. So therefore, if you look at CBS and Showtime and the guy at the top saying like, yo, like, for one, you're not giving us the fights we want this year. We've been losing money. We see all on, you know, like our fans are pissed off and everything. Steven F. Spinoza of Showtime Sports is most likely probably on his way out the door. You know how, like, even though we just the media and everything, you just know it's like, yo, like, how do you lose Canelo? That right there could just, you know, because he is, despite whatever his numbers is, whatever, he is pay-per-view. He is pay-per-view after Mayweather, as far as Showtime was concerned when they had it. You know, so now you have to think, like, they know Al Haymon is doing something with NBC, so it could be true that they came down and said, you know, like the heads came down, you know, shareholders, whoever, and say, yo, like, make Mayweather versus Pacquiao, and if you don't make that, then your fighters can't fight on this network. You're not going to be holding us hostage with these fighters and holding the fans hostage like you did with HBO. Al Haymon did that with HBO. With Andre Berto, HBO will say, listen, can you make this fight? He'd be like, no, but I'll give you this one. They'd be like, can you make this fight? No, but I'll give you Berto in this one. You know, he's been doing the same thing, you know, he's been doing the same thing, like, with these fighters, with Showtime as well. For crying out loud, like, these cards have been disgraceful. Oh, they say they're stat cards, for example. I can say it honestly. This next card, this last one for the year, as far as the big card for Showtime, is stacked. You got Devin Alexander, you got Devin Alexander, Amir Khan, you got Keith Thurman, Leonard Bundu. I'm gonna do that video, and let me finish this saying this. Listen, I got a marathon of videos coming. You'll see what I mean by the end of the week. I'm gonna be exhausted. I'm gonna probably be damn near dead ready to pass out. I got a marathon of videos coming. I'm probably going to do maybe 6 or 7 right now. It's December the 8th, 2014. Today, you know, like all these fight week predictions and all that type of stuff, because you got to end the year strong. So, you know, right now I'm just preparing myself. You know, I stopped drinking like soda, and, you know, I've been really low, like lethargic, you know, but I get that sugar, but that's why you get the H2O. I don't know. I'm rambling. But when you got this alleged NBC deal out there, right? You think, well, put yourself in the head of Showtime shoes. And you know, like, yo, like, what's the diff? Like, you would come down and think, like, okay, all right, well, use your street knowledge. How are you going to be negotiating to take your fighters to another network, unless that's what the fans think, and then you're not giving us, like, you're giving us bullshit fights? So basically, Al Haymon can put Showtime in a situation where they have no fights. They would have no fights. Like, look at this Fafar card. It's another card they got coming up that should not even be on Showtime, period. You know, there's a card there that makes it, yo, you're gonna stop snoring. Come here, come here, come here, come here, man. Come here. You gonna ignore me? Come here. Get up. Come here. Damn it. Come here. Sit down. You're pissing me. Matter of fact, I'm sick of you. Get out. Get out. No, get out. Get out. Get out. When you do your videos live, you know you gotta have stuff like that sometimes. So the Showtime know, like, okay, well, he's not gonna take all his fighters over to NBC. But either way, it's like, okay, well, why couldn't you do a deal with CBS Sports? And I'm thinking to myself, like, why, you know, like, why would they just allow Mayweather just to fight who he wants for these last 2 fights on his contract? Why would they keep allowing for Al Haymon to keep dictating because he has the fighters? Yes, he has the fighters, but what happens if your fighters don't, you know, they can't fight? Like, they don't have no network to fight on. What if they fight on ESPN? And here's another thing I don't understand. Let's say Al Haymon starts this paid subscription, which would be great if he does what I think should be done. If Al Haymon was to do a paid subscription, right, like Box Nation, and we get to see all his fighters, and then we get to see all those overseas fights, they'll have my money for the rest of eternity. As long as I'm around, I have my money. But you have to look at the flip side. Well, the matchmaking we know of Al Haymon right now, we don't have no guarantee he's going to have the best fight and the best. We look at all those boxers and we don't see no chance of a Danny Garcia versus a Keith Thurman or Adrian Broner versus not even Lamont Peterson. You know, we don't, like, there's no hope in us seeing those fights. Right now, Marcos McDonough, you know, what about him and Robert Guerrero? Do you think that'll happen? No, especially when Al Haymon signs his first, like when he first signs his fighters, I noticed there's a routine that they get they get about 1 or 2 fights where they fight somebody that's ranked, but fans really don't give a shit about, you know, and then it's maybe 2, 3 fights after they fight somebody where it's like, oh, you know, it's somewhat predictable that it's really, really frustrating. When it comes to Devin Alexander and Amir Khan, it's like, okay, this fight should have been happened. And, you know, like, why Devin Alexander? You know, why not a Robert Guerrero or somebody, you know? I would love to see Amir Khan versus Marcos McDonough too. But do you feel confident that Al Haymon would do that for us? How about, do you feel confident that Al Haymon would allow Deontay Wilder versus Vladimir Klitschko if Wilder beats Stavern? We don't even know if he's going to get through Stavern. But I'm saying, what if Wilder beats him? Do you think Al Haymon is going to say, all right, we're going to get Klitschko next? No, I don't know. No. Look at poor old Landy Lara. He went from pay-per-view, now he fighting on Showbox. Oh, no, Showtime Special Edition. They changed it to make it Showtime Championship Boxing Special. No, Showtime Boxing Special Edition, my ass. Something you should be thinking about is you really should be thinking, like, what channel are you going to be turning to in January? What channel are you going to be watching? Where these fighters are going to be? What will your Showtime package mean to you if there's no Mayweather? When there's no Mayweather? Because we know that's going to happen probably within the next 2 years. What's going to happen with your Showtime package? Who's going to take over for pay-per-view there? What is Showtime's pay-per-view fighter plan? If Al Haymon is what fans feel, taking guys like Danny Garcia, Adrian Broner, those guys to NBC Sports, maybe he'll bring them. I know people are going to say maybe they'll just fight their pay-per-views on Showtime. But you're not getting those built-up fights. You know, like, something is just not right. And you have to go all the way back to the root of the situation, which was June of this year, when Richard Schaefer decided to resign from Golden Boy. According to the lawsuit of Kathy Duva and Main Event Boxing, it was common knowledge and fans knew about it. We all knew about it. Oscar De La Hoya was getting interviews about it. Richard Schaefer and Al Haymon was trying to get Golden Boy away from Oscar De La Hoya. So it's hard for me to believe that even though De La Hoya and Haymon may be cool, De La Hoya know, like, yo, like, I know what y'all was trying to snake me. You, Steven Espinoza and Richard Schaefer. And now that's why you got this bitterness between Oscar De La Hoya and Steven Espinoza at Showtime. Oscar De La Hoya takes fighters from Showtime over to HBO. And we know that Canelo had 3 fights that were supposed to be on pay-per-view on Showtime. Alfredo Mongolo, Landy Lara, and this December 6th date that just passed. So you have to once again think like that. Somebody should lose their job over that, or could. I'm not saying should, like could. How do you allow something like that to happen? So if you got De La Hoya, whose Golden Boy promotion has been carrying all those Golden Boy fighters, you know, like as far as being the banner name for those Al Haymon fighters, and Oscar De La Hoya is like, fuck all that shit, I'm going to HBO. Al Haymon fighters, and Al Haymon got beef with HBO, or Al Haymon does, he's in a tough ass situation. Al Haymon is in a crazy situation. Think if you really think about it, like down to the bare bones, he cannot be a promoter himself. He can use other promoters, but the fights will be only somewhat limited to his fighters eventually now having to fight each other. But what he'll do is he'll keep going out there and find some of these C and B class fighters that you may know of, but shouldn't be fighting. You know, Jermaine Taylor is a 160 pound champion after a brain bleed. His brain was bleeding. His brain was bleeding, and he's a 160 pound champion. Motherfucker, I'm losing my voice. I used to be able to do like 30, 40-minute videos. I can do it on Google Hangout, but I don't want to sit up here for 25 minutes. You should get the point, you know. And even now, I start confusing myself because there's so much going on. You can't possibly cram it into a 20-minute video. You know, and that's why sometimes I say, well, I got to say this because then this happened, and then, you know, it's so much shit going on, and you think like, yo, how can you really think that they care about the fans? How can you really think that they care about the fans with what they've been getting? We can't get Mayweather versus Pacquiao. Why? Why? I'm not talking about all the old shit on whether Pacquiao was on steroids or, you know, Floyd Mayweather had the 40 million or not. I'm looking at the fact that there's 100 million right there guaranteed on the table, and I'm wondering, like, why are you wondering? Like, are you going to leave that money because you don't like how much he's making? Are you going to say, fuck that 100 million? I didn't want him to make no 80. I can understand, you know, how he feels he should get 1/3. I mean, that Pacquiao should get 1/3. I can legitimately understand that at 1/3, if the purse is 200 million, is about 66 million. So I can understand that 66, about closer to 67 million. I can understand that. But at the same time, I ask myself, well, but you're going to leave all that money on the table? And are you going to leave all of it on the table? That would be about 132 left, 132 million left after that 66, you know. But is you going to leave all that money on the table? Just going to leave it there because of what that man you don't want, and it's not your job. You can't. Mayweather's so used to dictating the terms because of Al Haymon, and you know that the fact that Mayweather's been fighting fighters within the Al Haymon brand and that in-house boxing is what I've been calling it for so long that he can't think of splitting money with somebody outside. And it's like, how can